All right, welcome to 3 MFAers. I'm Brandon McPherson. I'm from Toronto, Ontario. I have a MFA from the Actors Studio Drama School, and I'm currently in quarantine. I'm here with Josh.
What's up? Joshua Stir here. Director, actor, video game extraordinaire, and yeah, stuck in quarantine in a basement right now on Long Island, New York by Ridge. Caleb.
Hey, Caleb John Cushing, actor, writer, filmmaker, and I'm coming at you live from Savannah, Georgia. It is 90 degrees at 10 in the morning. Somebody end my life.
So before we get into our movie this week, which is one of the greatest movies ever created.
Well,
yeah, okay, all right. No, we can argue this out later. That's fine. Caleb, you wanted to talk about our ranking systems and how we're doing that?
Yeah, I mean, just for a second, if we had it sounds so dumb when I'm talking out loud. So we all watched this movie House, which is a masterpiece, and not everybody agreed, but
oh yeah, that's a masterpiece and A Knight's Tale isn't. I see it. I get it. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. All right, you understand. Okay, so we don't have to. No, well, as we were starting this whole thing, what got me interested in talking about it is that Josh, you gave, I forget what it was. You gave The Godfather a 4.5 out of 5, girl. Right? Or no, you gave something, and it was and you're well, nothing's perfect, and I don't know, that got me interested in what you guys how you guys are critique and rate things. I know that it shouldn't be all about the score or the number or whatever. It should just be about the thoughts and opinions expressed. But I personally don't feel that way. I don't it's not a math equation. I feel if I get the maximum enjoyment out of a film or maximum appreciation out of a film that I think I don't have any major issues with it that affect how I feel about that piece of art. I'm totally fine giving a 5 out of 5 or a 10 out of 10. But I know other people disagree. So I wanted to hear what you guys thought about kind of the metric of scoring something or how you guys do it.
Yeah, I think, because it's funny, do you go and rate a movie based on entertainment value? You know, the Power Rangers movie, let's say from 1993 or 4 or 5, whatever, the mid-90s. As a kid, that was the greatest movie of all time. It was my heroes on TV or on the movie screen. And I would have 5 out of 5, but objectively, it's not the best movie. So it kind of just, I think it depends. I think based on I take a movie separate from everything else and kind of how I rate it, right? Did I enjoy it? Was the story good? Was the acting okay? Now I have this weird thing about nothing being perfect. That can be argued, but I also, that comes from a Midwest background of you never give anybody perfects because there's always room for improvement. But that's just me. And I think it's all just personal opinion, which kind of goes into why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Why do our opinions matter? I don't know.
Yeah, I totally hear you. I don't know. I feel art doesn't exist in a vacuum, and everything is you have to. I approach it holistically. Totally. You can point out flaws in any film because nothing is ever going to be quote unquote perfect and flawless and seamless. But if those minor things are outweighed by ambition, a creativity, passion on behalf of the artists, and I love it, then yeah, it's going to be Black Swan, The Wailing, 5 out of 5s. I can't think of anything I would have preferred them do differently,
Right.
Yeah, that's a very fair way to look at it.
What do you think, Brandon?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's a very fair way to look at it. I just, I think it's going to be interesting as we keep going to see what our own personal scales look like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's a difference between Miracle and House, for sure.
Yeah. Right now, I don't think I've given lower than the 3. Maybe I gave something, probably Purple Rain. I probably gave Purple Rain lower.
You gave Purple Rain a 2.
Yeah, see, there you go, because it deserves even less. If I was on more on my scale, I would have given it a 1.
Wow.
But but that's the thing. It's all personal scales, right? For me, I don't want to give 1s because it feels mean. And if I give it a whole bunch of 5s, then I'm gonna have nowhere to go. That's all.
That's fair.
That's
Right,
all.
exactly.
That is
fair.
all that's happening with my scale. That's it.
Yeah, if you give so many 5s, it's like, okay, so then, but like, what's a bad movie to you? Just to love everything.
Right.
You can't just love everything. Yeah.
And,
Oh,
and
I don't
already,
judge. And we're
I
about
already
to find out.
I already have that problem where I come out of every movie I see, and I'm like, oh, that was the best movie I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Oh, you gotta go see this movie. It's the best thing ever made. And
You
it
do
was
do
like
that.
the newest Power Rangers. It's like, it doesn't matter what it
Exactly.
is. It's not good.
Yeah, I totally think they got gypped on the Oscar, the award season, but whatever.
It was still one of the funniest days.
When Marlon.
The next day after the Power Rangers movie came out, one of our friends, Marlon, walks into school and is just like, oh yeah, they're going to win Academy Awards for that. Just
Bro,
dead
Power Rangers,
serious.
best movie ever made, bro.
Dead serious.
Oh,
And then you were like,
man.
and then you go to him, and it's like, but what about Fast and Furious? They came out this year too, and his brain explodes because he can't comprehend.
right.
Hobbs
guess-
and Shaw?
What?
The greatest crossover of all time.
God, I love
Yeah,
that
that
kid
was,
so much.
it was actually, I actually liked Hobbs and Shaw. It was very
It
entertaining.
was so good. It was fantastic. Also, those cameos were amazing.
Right.
To have Kevin Hart and Ryan Reynolds, and to not mention the fact that they were going to be in the movie at any point in marketing was so well done.
Yeah,
It's
it's like
impressive to
Beyonce
keep
dropping
something
an
like
album.
that
here.
hidden. Yeah, like Beyonce just dropping an album.
Sneaky, sneaky.
Oh my god.
So all this saying is, those of you who are listening, whatever we rate these movies, it's okay to have a different opinion and a different viewpoint. We still love you.
I
And
never
please
said
come
that,
back.
just so you know. I just
Yeah,
I
Also,
still
if-
love you.
If you have a
I-
different viewpoint, then you're my enemy.
Yeah, you're my mortal enemy.
Wow.
There
okay.
can be only one. Highlander rules, maybe, which is another movie we should watch at some point.
Yeah, I play by
Totally.
anime rules. So,
What are anime rules?
if you're against me, then you're my mortal enemy forever and ever.
Unless there's another enemy that comes up, and then you have to be friends and fuse.
Right. Then you have to be besties, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
It's always binary.
Yeah, there's no in between.
There's
Either
no in
my best
between.
friend and I'll do anything for you, or I will
Right.
make it my life's mission to destroy you.
Right. And
Did
by
anybody
season,
else?
Sorry, Josh, go ahead.
Sorry. Sorry. Did anybody else notice in the Last Airbender anime, which I just finished a week or so ago, that the dragon, like the original dragon
Yeah.
dance, is essentially the fusion dance?
Yes. Yes.
Like, and as Trunks and Goten,
Yeah.
the
Very
Goten.
similar.
Yeah, that's for
Very
sure.
similar.
That's for sure. Like a call out, like an homage.
Yeah.
Mm.
So Caleb requested I update him on my life. And so I've been playing the original Final Fantasy from the PlayStation.
What is that? Is
PlayStation
that 7?
Yeah, Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, sorry.
7.
It's not
I
the
just think,
original Final
like-
Fantasy.
Well, here's the thing. Everybody talks about Final Fantasy VII as like the Final Fantasy game. So
Well, it is. It's the best
that's why. Right. So I just got done Red 13, his grandfather,
one.
and
Mhm.
that Carol Canyon or Color Canyon.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. So I just finished that. And it's been interesting because I'm getting used to like the different kinds of magics and what's used to. Like I just got through this cave where Ryan's like, "Hey, if you cast Cure on them, it does a lot of damage." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." I'm like, "Oh wow, it's doing so much damage." And then I do it on another character and it heals them. I'm like, "Damn it!" Like, how do I know? I don't know. But my team right now is Cloud, of course,
Of course.
Yuffie, and Barrett. They're like my rock stars right now. So
They're probably that's a really great combo. I like Tifa a lot, but Yuffie's just got she's got the moves.
she's got the moves in the attack, and like
Yeah.
Barrett's just like a tank, so that's good. And
And
You
he's
know.
just funny. I like Barrett as a lot. It's such a weird, interesting character. Just this guy, I don't know. You can tell that the Japanese people had no idea how to write that character, and they just made him a complete stereotype. But
Yeah.
it's funny. I don't know. It's charming. I think that game has a lot of heart and spirit, and it's very ambitious, and I like it a lot.
definitely. And I'm 17 hours of gameplay into it.
Jesus.
So, and I'm
That's a
still
good
only
amount.
like
You're only
probably
halfway
on the
done,
first
baby.
disc. So
That's
and then-
crazy when there's 2 discs. That's old school.
Yeah,
The
no,
90s,
there's
baby.
3. There's 3, right? Ryan said there was 3 discs, or was there only 2?
I
Originally.
remember 2 discs, but there might be like a special edition or whatever. I have no idea. But I remember, yeah, I definitely remember 2.
It's crazy knowing like 2 discs in the 90s for like Final Fantasy and how big that game was, and then 2 discs for Red Dead Redemption 2 for the PS4. You know, nowadays, like just to tell you how much data that game has. You know,
The worst right now is Call of Duty because they did the whatever update, Warfare update. So it's a free for all style game now as well. But every week there's like a new update. So it's up to like 170 gigs or some shit. And it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Yeah. It's nuts. Like it's like it I had to delete it because it took up 90% of my hard drive.
yeah. I mean, you have to get your own another PlayStation just to play the game.
Yeah, and it just keeps getting bigger because they just keep adding to it.
That's nuts.
That's fucking
I also
insane.
I watched Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
How
From,
was that?
88, 89. It was wonderful. I almost requested it for one of our viewing things, but I'm like, it's too much of a cult classic kind of stuff. I'd rather like, request like Evil Dead or something. You know what I mean? But
Because that's not a cult classic.
Yeah, right. Like the original. No, I don't know. But like, no, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. If you guys want to check it out, it's on Netflix, the US Netflix anyway. And yeah, it's kind of a good time. It's kind of interesting, but crazy. The acting is terrible, but clowns look great.
Really? In a movie called Killer Clowns from Outer Space, the acting's not great? That's bizarre.
Caleb, I have an open mind, okay?
I'm sorry, I'm being mean.
You're being a closed-minded doucher.
I'll save my little comments for when we get into the film of the week.
Good. Save it. Hey, fuck you.
No, it's fine. I don't know, Brandon. Do you want to just?
It's better than fine.
Do you want to just do this? I know
Yeah,
you're ready to go.
fine.
I know you're waiting for it.
I am
Unless
ready
anybody
to
else
go.
has anything else to say.
Is there anything else going on, Brandon? Anything of note that you noticed or no?
You mean news-wise?
News-wise, yeah.
Yes,
Anything
I have a
crazy
few
happening?
things. Da, da, da. All right, the biggest news on the block this week is da, 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 da. There's a new scripted television show coming from the series runner of American Vandal and starring Mr.
yes.
Nicolas Cage playing Joe Exotic.
Really?
Yeah, they're doing a Tiger King 8-episode TV series starring
No.
Nicolas Cage as Joe Exotic, and I cannot
No.
wait.
I'm somewhere in between you guys. I know, like I am on paper. It sounds like amazing, but it does feel kind of like. I mean, we just got this documentary, and that's basically a TV show. Like it's basically fiction. Like it's insane. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah,
I don't know how.
they
I
can't-
don't know what else they can do. What
But,
they can add to
it's
it.
minimum a year, right? Like, and that's at
Okay.
best, it's going to take them a year to film it and do it and put it out. And then now with the pandemic, it's going to be even longer, right? So it's going to be a while before we see this.
Yeah,
The
but
fact
I
that
just
they're
don't
still
know.
making it, I think.
I don't know what it could possibly do that the documentary didn't already. I don't know what it can add or do differently. That's what I'm saying. I don't know why.
Well,
it
it
just
can
seems
take a
very
stance.
soulless. It seems very like,
Well,
we're making money off this and we don't, that I don't know.
If it wasn't Nicolas Cage playing him, I wouldn't be interested. But with Nicolas Cage
True.
playing him, I'm
True.
all in. Talk about your 5 out of 5 movies.
I'm definitely going to watch it. Is it a movie or a show?
What? It's
Is
a
it
show.
a show?
No, it's a show.
Is it who's playing Carol Baskins? That's what I want to know. That's
I don't
Bates.
think they've
It has to
announced
be
it
Kathy
yet.
Bates. It has to be Kathy Bates. I'm going to fucking lose my mind if they cast anybody else.
They're gonna go like real wild with it and get like Angelina Jolie. Just a really alternative representation of it.
Yeah, because what's she doing now?
Whatever she wants.
Raising like 6 adopted children.
That's true. No, I feel like what they can do in the TV show is take a stance on whether or not, don't have it up in the air, whether or not Carol killed her husband, just have Carol kill her husband.
Just
And
the
she's-
very first scene is her pushing her husband into a tiger cage.
Well, let's be. I mean, she definitely did kill her husband. So
Right. I mean, come on.
100%. 100%. 100%.
And then she goes like on the news and is like, "Yeah, I feel betrayed. I feel misrepresented by the filmmakers." It's like, dude, you killed your husband.
She does that thing where she laughs all the time,
Yeah.
no matter what. And like it's one of those murderer things where it's not like, oh, you're hanging out with a bunch of friends and you're like laughing and giggling. You're being asked about your husband's murder, and your response is to constantly cackle like you're the goddamn Joker.
Yeah,
You definitely did it.
Yeah.
it's that like psychopath thing where you laugh because you have read online that laughing makes people comfortable.
Right.
So you just
Right.
laugh all the time, regardless if it's appropriate or not.
I
Because it's all in
they're
the
talking
eyes. It's
about
all in
this
the
meat
eyes.
grinder, and I wouldn't even be able to fit his elbow in the meat grinder. She's
Because I
psycho.
tried.
Yeah. It's very specific, Carol.
What did she say about the oil on the shoes, right? She said something about the saltine oil.
Yeah, some
It's
sketchy,
virgin oil.
weird shit that only a murderer would
Everybody
say.
knows Chanel 9 only has the tigers sniff and lick it.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Oh.
well, we have something to look forward to in a year, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah, now
Wait,
I
isn't
like meeting
isn't the Last Airbender Netflix series comes out next week? In a
Next
week?
week.
That was the 15th.
Oh my God.
No. Is that no? I think they were putting The Last Airbender on Netflix in the States, weren't they? Or is that the actual show supposed to be coming out
I
already?
thought it was
No,
the
there's
actual
no
show
way
show.
the actual
No,
show.
dude, I haven't seen
Oh, okay.
no trailer, no poster, nothing. I haven't seen a
Yeah,
show for
there's
it.
no.
Yeah.
That would be such a fucking power move, though. It's like, yeah, here's
Yeah,
the show
right?
we made in secret.
It's
Yeah.
like Beyonce, guys. Everyone's doing Beyonce, dropping that album.
Maybe
Unexpectedly.
Beyonce will be Carol Baskins.
That would be amazing. Jesus Christ.
Before we get started, I did want to really quickly. I just remembered. So I watched all of the South by Southwest Amazon features.
Mhm.
Oh, yes.
And the one, they were okay, but the one that I want to recommend when it does come out, hopefully it gets, because they took them off now. It's after the 6th. You can't watch them anymore. But when this film called Gunpowder Heart comes out, that is the one that I would recommend. It's worth watching.
Is that a short or is
It's a
full length?
feature.
Awesome.
It's a feature from Guatemala City, which is great. I've never seen a Guatemalan film before. And it's about 2 queer women who get attacked and they seek revenge on the men who attacked them. But it's
Cool.
Oh, nice.
a very different, unique way to tell that story that's been done before. And I really liked it, and I would recommend when that becomes hopefully available on some platform soon to check that one out. It was the best one I saw out of the 7.
Very dope.
Great.
Yeah.
forward to
In a last piece of news, in the similar news, the Tribeca Film Festival is teaming up with IMAX and AT&T, and they're going to start doing Tribeca drive-ins.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. So they're going to start popping them up all over the U.S. during the summer.
I would absolutely
nice.
go to that. That's
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah, I think
Drive-in
it'll be.
theaters are awesome.
I think there's going to be a big resurgence in drive-in theaters. I mean, it's social, but it's not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have the built-in social distancing because you're in your fucking
Exactly.
car.
Exactly. So I think that's going to be that's a good move on their part.
Hell yeah.
Especially,
let's see if
Tribeca.
AMC boycotts those films too.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
So that's happening, and then there's that other thing, the We Are One thing. Do you guys hear about that?
No.
I don't know the details, but a bunch of other film festivals are kind of teaming up with YouTube, I think it is, and they're gonna do the same thing Amazon did and stream some stuff at some point.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very awesome.
So it seems like everybody except AMC is embracing this.
Yeah,
you,
AMC is killing it.
Are you going to have the YouTube Premium, or can you just will you be able to just?
No, I think it's going to be free for a little bit, like Amazon was, but I don't know if they had that detail in. I think they just announced that they were planning this thing and doing it.
Well, because you had to have Amazon Prime to do it anyway.
No,
You know,
you didn't.
no.
That was the
Oh,
whole
okay. I
thing.
thought you had to have
Because it was
Prime.
only for like 10 days, and it's like, yeah, you don't have to have Prime. You can just watch it.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Forward
There you
thinking.
go.
Speaking of free movies that wasn't actually free, Brandon.
Oh yeah, I had this as well. What happened to you?
Nothing. I just had to watch A Knight's Tale on DVD because Ryan had it.
Oh, well there you go. Because it's the best movie ever. So of course you had it on DVD.
I got to watch it on Showtime, so I didn't have to pay for it.
I went to rent it and accidentally rented it in French because me in Canada. So that was a waste of $4.99, and then I illegally streamed it online.
Brandon,
Was it a waste? Are you
What did
sure
you-
you're
what did
cultured
you
now?
You
No,
can't-
it was a waste. I don't know why Xbox Film and TV would only have the French version, but apparently that's a thing.
because you're in fucking Canada, dude.
No, that means nothing. Okay? That
I'm
means
surprised
nothing.
you don't own it already. This is like your jam.
You know what? That's really funny you just said that, because until Josh just said that, I forgot that DVDs existed, and I definitely own it. And this was not a problem, and I made it a problem. Because like,
There
you're
you go.
right, I definitely own multiple copies of it right outside my bedroom.
Yeah,
That's funny.
Yeah, I didn't think
hilarious.
about it. Yeah.
No, it's
So-
all good.
That makes me feel like a dum-dum, but that's okay. We're moving forward, you know.
No, it's great.
We're just gonna
Live and
move
learn.
on.
So yeah, A Knight's Tale, a true classic. That was my pick for this week. It's one of my faves. I remember going to see it in theaters when I was like, I don't know, 11, 12, super young, and just loving it. Yeah, just a super fun movie. I'm excited to hear your guys' thoughts on it.
I can go. Or I'll just go second. I guess you didn't ask who wants to go, but I volunteer, and I say
Who wants to go?
I'll go. There we
All
go.
right, okay, Josh, go. Let us
Yeah.
know.
I thought it's a fun movie. It doesn't take itself seriously, but then the parts that are serious and the sentimental moments made me a wreck. So,
Yeah.
I'm a sucker. I'll say it again and again. I'm a sucker for people, overcoming their past experiences or whatever and like rising up and becoming who they want to be. And that's what this movie is. So I loved it.
Yeah.
KK?
I did not love it.
Is that all?
Yeah, no, just it's interesting. I didn't like I ended up feeling how I thought I would feel about it in the end. But the stuff that I thought I was going to dislike actually didn't bother me that much, and it was other things that I ended up not liking. It was very weird film.
Oh, can I guess?
Sure, yeah, go ahead, Brandon.
Okay, so I feel like what didn't end up bothering you and actually turned out hilarious and fun to watch was like their, modern era dancing and all that crazy crap. And then what actually did bother you was some of the dialogues between him and her. That's my guess, right?
Pretty close, pretty much.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how we want to get started. I can just go right away into what I didn't like about it.
Yeah, I'm interested.
So it was interesting because I don't know if you guys ended up reading, because this movie came out in 2001, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys read Roger Ebert's review of it. He gave it 3 stars out of 4. Like, he liked it a lot.
Mhm.
And he said that he thought it was funny that other critics were kind of like knocking it for having anachronisms, like the modern music and the modern dancing and all that
Right.
stuff. But he was saying that's dumb because other period movies like this have like orchestral string scores, but that shit wasn't really invented or popularized until the 1400s, which is after this movie also. Like, this movie's earlier than that too. So that doesn't make any sense. So he thought it was just like fun. And so I kind of agree that I didn't think that just the idea of having modern rock songs or whatever was bad. I think that can work. I don't think inherently that's a dumb idea. I just felt that the songs they ended up choosing were a little on the nose and a little silly and didn't really fit. Like,
Yeah.
You mean
The
you didn't like
first-
David Bowie at the banquet?
the first thing we see is a bunch of people in a stadium doing the Queen shit, and I was just like, oh my fucking god, is this the movie that is? And like, it's just dumb. And then I also really rolled my eyes at when The Boys Are Back in Town started playing.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't fit. Like, I understand, like, on a surface level, yes, they're coming back to London, but that song is like very celebratory and it's very happy and upbeat, and they're all fucking miserable and apprehensive about coming back to this place that they all have bad memories of. So it was just a lot of that.
No, they're stoked to be going back.
No, they weren't.
Yes, they
were all
are.
They've
"How
come
long
back
has it
as
been for
changed
you?"
people.
Yeah, they've all.
It was so inappropriately used, and the David Bowie shit and all that, like, whatever, like, it's fine. But yes, I did, Brandon, really hate a lot of the dialogue, a lot of the interactions between Heath and Shannon. And this might be sacrilege, and I'm sure we're going to talk a lot about this, and you guys are going to suck his dick. I didn't think Heath Ledger was that good.
I disagree.
I thought he was the weakest out of the main cast. I loved Alan Tudyk. I loved Paul Bettany. I thought that Mark Addy was great.
That's the magic of this movie, in my opinion, is the cast.
The supporting cast. Yeah, I would agree.
They're amazing in it. They're hilarious. I love all three of those people.
Yeah, it was so interesting because I was like, where the fuck have I seen this guy before? And it was Robert Baratheon.
Yeah.
I've never seen him in anything else.
Yeah.
And there was another Game of Thrones person as well. I don't know if you guys caught. Mace Tyrell was like the priest or one of the priests when Heath Ledger's trying to hit on Shannon Sassamon for the first time.
Yeah.
So that was
he
cool.
rides the horse into the thing.
Yeah. And he's like, get out of here, woman. You be quiet or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I thought that I don't think that Heath necessarily did a bad job, but I was just shocked. There's nothing to that character. He's just a brat. He's a petulant brat.
No, I disagree. He's just trying to change his stars.
No, stop. I'm going to vomit, dude.
He's just following his feet, Caleb. He's following his feet.
It was so cliche written, and it was really boring.
You have been weighed, you have been measured, and you have been found wanting.
Oh yeah, discount Jude Law's in this movie.
Yeah, that guy's great. All right,
he's very good, but I can only look at him and see like Walmart Jude Law. Like he.
That's funny. Yeah, no, it's funny because I wrote down all the things that I kind of know the people from, and it's like, the guy, the Count. What's his face? The evil guy.
Aldemar.
Discount Jude Law. I was like, where did I just see him? And then he's in Judy. That came out a little bit ago. He's Sid.
Yeah, he's
and so I was like, okay, he's good. He's good.
He's very good. His name's Rufus Sewell. He's a very fine actor. I've seen him do a lot of Shakespeare stuff. He's very good. But that being said, he is a less famous Jude Law.
Yeah,
true.
I always like him in roles where they, especially after this movie came out in the early 2000s. And for the next couple years after this, you'd see him and stuff as like the red herring.
You mean the tourist?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about specifically. Yeah, but they'd come in a couple times where he'd be like walking around as a glorified, like, almost, as a character, but a glorified extra with no lines, so that he would end up being not the bad guy, but he's there as a red herring the entire movie.
Yeah.
Oh, funny.
Hold on. He's in this movie he's very good in this movie called Dark City. I don't know if you guys have seen it. But that is probably his biggest leading role, claim to fame. It came out in the late 90s. He's good in The Illusionist. He's good in Tristan and Isolde. He's very good. I love him. He's in this modernization of Taming of the Shrew. That's very good. But I cannot look at him without thinking about Jude Law because they look exactly the same.
Yeah.
I would love to talk on Caleb's point about Heath Ledger. So I can definitely see Caleb's point because it is subtle. He was 21 when he did this movie. He just got done doing Patriot. He did 10 Things I Hate About You, and he just kind of is this soft-spoken, not really much, but it's like his first kind of really big claim to fame kind of movie, right? Leading actor, right? And I actually went through all the special features and the little featurettes and stuff, and he says that, he really, if it wasn't for like the ensemble cast, like kind of helping him out, it wouldn't have been as good. But he definitely grew a lot between this and like, The Dark Knight or whatever. But even then, it's like, as a 21-year-old, what having a feature-length movie on, but I don't know. Yeah, it's subtle. He's quiet. He's introverted, or like he's introspective. But
this is my issue I think that Heath Ledger suffers from the same kind of issue that dudes like Brad Pitt or like Chris Pine or Chris Hemsworth do, is that they're very like handsome. So you put them in these like leading man handsome roles where all they have to do is be pretty, and it's kind of like boring to watch them. But they're insanely good character actors. So if you let them be fucking weird and crazy and funny, that's where they're really good. Like Ryan Reynolds, I feel like, is the same way. And with this, I don't think he did like a bad job. It was fine, but there's nothing to that character. Like, especially when you contrast him against like Geoffrey Chaucer or his two other squire buddies or the fucking female blacksmith, where they all are vibrant and they can express themselves because they don't have to be the male part of a love story. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's the writing. I don't think that he did a bad job. I think that the story is very like simple and it doesn't allow him to do what he's good at.
It's very
The guy
interesting. You
wrote
put
it in
that
like
way.
less than a month.
Well, and then you like, but then you look at it too, and it's like, that's really the only, other than Brokeback Mountain, and obviously like you're tackling a very different
Brokeback
thing
Mountain.
there. But that's the only character where he's just a normal guy. That Brokeback Mountain, but Brokeback Mountain obviously is a very specific point to it, and it's
Yeah, I
written.
would say that Brokeback Mountain doesn't even fit. It's a very specific character work that
Right,
he's doing.
but that's what I'm saying.
You know.
Every other character really after this movie is a character.
Yeah,
You know.
and this is more of a blank slate.
His own kind of what he does well, you know.
Yeah, look, personally, I love him in this. I think he's fucking fantastic. And there's certain moments that, especially with him as a 21-year-old actor in that position, there's certain moments that are like pure, I don't know, pure, like fearlessness, like the character.
One of my favorite moments that I think is accidental, but it's just it rang so well, is when he's at the tournament and of course Shannon or whatever the character she's playing with the crazy hair.
Yeah.
We're just gonna call her Becky with
with
the
her
hair.
hot topic highlights.
It's
So
like, and then like the
annoying.
crazy fan, like the flare. I don't know what they were deciding to do, but
It looks like she
Um,
came right from the set of 40 Days and 40 Nights with that hair, and they were like, "Oh, cool! No, you look great. Yeah, be in a night's tale. Let's do this." Yeah,
I feel like they borrowed Padme's like headpiece from Phantom
Right.
Menace and just like stuck it on
right.
her head.
you know, fun fact: she was a DJ, and a casting director like picked her out and was like, "Hey, you should come read for this part," and she got it.
I mean,
Really?
she did
Another fun
fine.
little note
Everybody
on the
did
special
fine.
features.
She was very competent in her playing a very basic character. I don't think that it's the actor's fault. I don't think that at all.
But what I was going to say is when he's losing because he's proving his love,
yeah.
that he's on the horse and they're like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" He's like, "Losing," and you can just like, I don't know what it was about that that exasperation or just the little dump of like, "Fuck me, I hate love. I don't understand
and-
women," and he just
then,
gets
like-
his shit rocked. But like that moment for sure, I'm just like, "Yeah, dude, I feel ya. Love stinks." You know.
Well, and then right after that, I think it's Alan Tudyk is like, "Oh, she's here. That's your love," and he's like, "And how I hate her," and then just like continues to ride.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's such a like a there's just nothing to that character really. Like
He wanted to change his stars.
he wants to be a knight,
And he did.
So
He was knighted. I cried
He
when he got
basically
knighted.
his entire and I know that they end up fixing it at the end, so it's okay. But his entire thing is that he lies, right? So he's a knight, and then he like bullies his friends into giving him their money, and then he
It's a really weird way to look at that.
It's
I was
not
gonna
at
say,
all.
Caleb
It's
is
not
doing
at
a
all,
Caleb
dude.
thing right now. He's like,
Yeah.
You mean
look at
analyzing
how
the
he
film,
bullies them.
taking
Oh,
it,
maybe
taking it
instead
on
of
face
bullying
value?
them, he made all of his friends rich and made enough money so they could all go back to England.
But there was no guarantee that that was going to happen, right?
But
in
it
the world of the
happened.
film. No, I know, but,
But it-
listen to what
But
I'm
it
saying.
happened.
Don't interrupt me. Listen to what I'm saying. So they all get their fucking 5 silver pieces or whatever, and both Alan Tudyk and Mark Addy are like, "No, dude, like we want to take our money and go home." And then he's like, "Well, too bad because I have it, and if you catch me, you can get it, but you're not going to catch me, ha ha ha." And then he just like fucking is an asshole, and he makes them like train with him, right? And he wins all these tournaments, And then he sees a pretty girl and he's like, oh, I love her, even though they just fucking, I hate that shit in movies when they're like, oh, I love you so much. You have seen them once and you know nothing about each other.
That shit's real. I do that once a week.
It's just too
Disney
boring.
has been making money off that formula for decades. For 50 years, Disney has used that formula and it works because it works.
But you know stuff about fucking like Aladdin. Aladdin's like funny and charismatic and scrappy, and like, you know, Ariel has like very specific like goals and opinions on things. Heath Ledger's a fucking boring hot person in this movie, not in real life. In real life, he's dead.
Wow.
And then,
wow, Caleb.
Yeah, there's there just a leaden silence falls over.
I'm not happy about what's happening right now.
Just let me fucking get my thoughts out. So. Then these fucking two boring hot people decide that they like each other because they're both boring and hot. And then he is a fucking brat because he wants to fucking be the best jouster. And then he's got this fucking girl being like, hey, like, why are you being mean? And he's like, you're just a stupid girl. Flowers are dumb. I want to knock people off of horses. And then she fucking forgives him anyway because she's the boring hot woman who has to love the boring hot man. And then they have sex, I think. And then Geoffrey Chaucer is like, yeah, fuck him good, which was like a really, really weird scene in the movie. I was
great scene. Perfectly written.
And then like it's like PG-13, so they can't show them having sex, so they just like lie down and like boring like romantic music plays in the background. And then the bad guy is like, oh, I'm gonna like make her dad marry me and you're not a knight. But then, oh, guess what? Like, discount Hugh Jackman makes him a knight, and then they win the tournament, and then but then like that never gets resolved because technically he can still, if he's like negotiating with her dad anyway, then he can still marry her, but they never talk about it again.
No, but the understanding of that is now with Heath Ledger being a knight, it's the same status level, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but then they kiss in front of a really bad CGI background that transforms into a night sky, and then the movie's over.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh.
So, Caleb, are those all your thoughts, Caleb?
They're most of them. I'm holding on to the best ones.
Coming out of Pessimist Corner.
It's fine if you guys liked it. I'm trying to explain why I thought it was just kind of average.
True, and we need that opposite viewpoint.
Yeah. Yeah.
What I will say is Paul Bettany is the best part of that movie. He's fucking great.
Yeah, of course.
That's inarguable.
I think it's because he's based off a real character. Or a real author.
Oh, that was the other thing I just want to say. Sorry. So, yeah, he plays a version of Geoffrey Chaucer who wrote the Canterbury Tales. But this movie is not based off of those. Like,
obviously, have you read A Knight's Tale and A Canterbury Tales? It's boring as shit. This is way better.
Okay.
Are you telling me this isn't the more entertaining story? Because you're wrong.
I mean, I don't know how to even begin to respond to that. It's the Canterbury Tales. It's like a classic, like one of the, if not the most famous piece of medieval literature. And this movie is like, it's based off of that,
old, but it doesn't make it good.
I'm actually gonna freak out. All right, somebody else talk for a while. It took me by surprise that it wasn't actually based off of the story because it's being billed like it is. Like it has nothing in common with that story. So I was
other than there being a knight and a Thatcher. That's it. That's straight up. That's it.
Yeah. So I was just like, in an actual way, I was taken aback by the fact that it's not even remotely close. So that's all.
And the only other kind of allusion to it is when he is getting, when Paul Bettany's character is getting, fucked up for gambling and all of that. And he is like, I will eviscerate you in fiction. Every pimple, because those two characters are in Canterbury Tales.
Yeah, those two characters do appear in Canterbury Tales for sure, but not in the same way.
No, he lights up those characters in a Canterbury Tale pretty bad.
At the end,
that was nice.
That was fucking annoying at the end when he was like, I should write about this. It's like, ugh.
I loved it all, man. I love it all.
I know. Well, I can see, like, it. I definitely understand the appeal. I think that a version of this movie that had a better writer would have been something I would have appreciated more,
Also, let's keep in mind, I saw this movie when I was 11 in theaters and lost my shit.
Sure.
So it's definitely ingrained in there.
Yeah.
I did want to talk about, because you kind of flew through the ending there, and there's a moment that I do find very interesting, and I've thought about this for a long time, and it's just that quick close-up at the very end. Like, we're talking very, like, last jousting competition, him versus Adamar or whatever. He's already got his armor off. And there's that pushed-in close-up that lasts a few seconds right before they're about to go. And it's just how Heath Ledger handles that as an actor is very, very interesting.
Are you talking about the slow motion shot of him screaming his own name? Because I burst out laughing. That was so ridiculous.
But right, like literally right before that, the close up right before that, where he's sitting on the horse and he's like staring him down. And usually 9 times out of 10, you just have a very specific, like, angry stare down, you know? Yeah. And he's just doing work. He's doing something completely different, and he's like chewing on the inside of his lip, and it's just like the weirdest thing, and it works, you know? It's just one of those small moments that sets him apart.
But what did you think about the moment after that I said?
I love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like Josh is going to be the kind of balancing, more neutral person.
Oh,
unless
definitely.
he
Only
agrees
because
with you.
Here's the thing. It's the reason it didn't bother me as much, the whole yelling of the name, is because I take the movie for what it is. And it's not like, okay, of course he would do that. You know what I mean? I'm not going to like roll my eyes and be like, oh God, like if it was serious the whole time and then all of a sudden he did that, yeah, I would laugh because it's a surprise. But it's not a surprise. Right. Of course he did that. I thought it was interesting that, so I actually did a lot of stuff, like if you go through like the special features, they do a lot of behind the scenes like technical stuff and like explaining how they made it and like what's going on. And I want to get into some of that. But with the moment that Brandon's talking about, I think that just goes back to Heath Ledger being able, he had for the time, and I guess that's why he's appealing to the director, writer, whatever, is that he internalizes, he's very good at, or what was appealing, that it all came to the eyes. He didn't have to emote. He didn't have to whatever. But then that's what Brandon's getting at, is that different choice when he's faced with this certain situation that other actors may have made differently, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly what I mean.
You know, I did appreciate the fact that they did really joust. But before I go into that, I just remembered, so they filmed in the Czech Republic. I think it was still the Czech Republic or back then.
It was the Czech Republic.
But in Prague, and Prague has a great system to like, for like their homeless to like kind of get the skills they need to like work, and they paid all their extras, but a lot of them were homeless too and stuff like that. And just kind of, they said that the Czech people have this really distinct facial features that really work well for medieval time periods. So they loved that. But the moment when Paul Bettany was introducing Heath Ledger for the first time in the sword event, that moment where everything was quiet for a little bit, and then Mark Addy had to like go, yeah, and they all cheered, was like an actual take because they didn't understand what was being said or when their cue was. And so all the extras just stayed silent, and they were about to yell cut and do it again. But then Mark Addy came up and was like, yeah, and got everybody cheering. And the writer's like, yeah, I mean, that's better than I could have even imagined.
Yeah, I love that.
It's a cool little like blooper, you know?
Such a good beat too. Like the way that plays out is amazing.
Yeah, because Paul looks around, he's like, that wasn't supposed to happen.
Fitting that one of the most memorable scenes in this movie was on accident.
Oh my God.
Okay. Do you need to step away and like take a walk around the
I think I need to cool down. No, I mean, listen, I think that there is lots to appreciate about it. Like I said, I think the entire supporting cast is just full of amazing like actors who do a great job, and it's funny. Kate, the blacksmith, is fucking Lydia from Breaking Bad, which is insane. That's such a different character.
Oh, really?
Whoa!
Yeah. Right? Like it's so different and crazy.
For her.
She
Whoa! Holy shit! That's wow. Wow. I'm
that
very
one was
impressed right now.
that one was cool. Her Jocelyn's friend, like her like lady in waiting, is Berenice Bejo, who is very famous in France, but she was in The Artist a few years ago.
Okay, that's right, but she looks super familiar.
So it's full of like lots of. I know I made a joke earlier about discount Hugh Jackman, but James Purefoy is very good actor as well. He's Edward the High Prince.
I was gonna say every time he's on screen, he's very commanding. He's very good.
Yeah, it was well cast from top to bottom, I think. Again, I feel like the central two characters in the love story are kind of underwritten. But I don't have any issue with any of the performances. I definitely thought that the dancing was very silly, and I know that you have to have that in the film, but it just felt like it's just not my thing, and I think that's what it comes down to is a taste thing. Because sorry, you go, Josh.
No, I was just gonna say I mean, it's to each his own, and the taste and how the story's written. Like, for me, the things that stuck out the most were the callback to, the prince trying to do what he wants, but because he can't be heard, everyone's like, oh, I don't want to like joust the prince just in case, and that whole class system type thing. But so then he ends up paying him back because he did challenge him, because that's all he wants to do is joust, by knighting him so that he can continue the tournament and win his true love. But then also there's like the rewriting of the stars, right? Like,
right.
There was a line in there that Heath Ledger's character says, William, he says that like, what do you think nobility or royalty? Like somebody went and said, I'm a noble person, right? Like, how did this class system even start? It got me thinking of like
at the tip of a sword.
Right. It was like war, and they said, we are the family. We're now the royal family, and you will treat us as such. And it's like, or I'm a nobleman, I'm a duke. It's like, how do you? It's just somebody somewhere going, hey, this is my title now, and everybody, because nobody was educated back then, we're like, oh yeah, no, he must be. That's why I think it's so great that Paul Bettany's character can just write a lineage for him, and just like flower it up, and just, it gets better and better every time. And I thought, I thought it was a cute little story. It's like I get the same feeling watching this movie as I did like Shakespeare in Love or
yeah.
Right. I didn't like Shakespeare in Love. I'm like, oh god, what? But Romeo and Juliet with Leonardo DiCaprio. Like, it's just very.
Oh my god.
it's whimsical. I don't know.
I wouldn't describe Romeo plus Juliet as whimsical, but that's fine.
First of all, that's also a great movie, so I don't want to get into that.
You guys are killing me.
We're killing you? We had to watch House.
House is a fucking awesome, dude. The Wailing is awesome. I'll give you guys Purple Rain. That one was my bad. But
that's funny. But Caleb, this is why you're here. You educate us. We give you all the fun movies, and you give us the subtitles.
Fuck off. House is a lot of fun. I'm not trying to whatever. I genuinely just feel like I don't think I can only enjoy a movie so much that like the second it starts, I know exactly everything that's going to happen. You know what I mean?
That is fair. You know exactly how it's going to end. You know where we're getting to. It's not like, it's a twist, and the prince has made him a knight. Like, you knew that was coming, or some version of that was going to happen.
But because it's so predictable, I feel like every serious, dramatic moment is undercut. Like, meeting his dad. Like, of course, that's how, like, I wasn't surprised by that. I wasn't surprised by the prince knighting him. I wasn't surprised by him. Of course he's going to win the fucking, like, of course he's going to win. Of course. And to me, I think that maybe, Brandon, if I had seen this movie when I was younger, I would be able to look past that a little more. But coming to it as an adult for the first time, like, I'd seen like some of the jousting scenes before, but coming to the total thing as an adult for the first time, I just didn't, it's not for me, No,
there was definitely times watching it last night under the lens that you guys were watching it as well, where I was like, well, that was cornier than I remembered. Or being like, you know what I mean? Or like noting different things and being like, oh yeah, Caleb's gonna have something to say about that for sure. I forgot about that moment. You know what I mean? Like being like, oh yeah, I did watch this like 90 times when I was 12. So like those things don't even jump out at me anymore, you know?
That's funny. I watch all my movies and through the lens of what Caleb is watching it through. How would Caleb view this?
I'm not trying to be a downer. I think that, like I said, a lot of the acting is fun. I did laugh a couple times at like Geoffrey Chaucer and Alan Tudyk, especially those guys.
And you dance like a girl. He punches him in the face.
I love it. No, Adam Tudyk, is that how you pronounce last name?
Alan Tudyk.
Alan Tudyk. He did mention, though, again, all my notes are a lot of special feature stuff, but he did say it's interesting the dichotomy, because we have to use that word once in an episode.
It's a law, yeah.
That, Alan's character, Alan, his character is like a low-class clown. He's very like quick to temper and very angry, and then you have Paul's character, which is like a high class clown. He's a in so to speak, like they're dynamic. Like when Alan gets pissed off, he jumps over the railing. He's like yelling at him, and then Paul comes up and just pushes him off, and it's like, good writing. I think it's when Heath Ledger lost or whatever. But
yeah, it's a great scene.
It's cool. Like they said that because of the ensemble cast and the characters that are around Heath Ledger's character, like you have the leading man, then you have all this. The supporting cast, but they all balance each other out in terms of you have 5 characters that are like ensemble that kind of come in, and they're all very dynamic and they're all very 3-dimensional in a sense of they all have their needs, their wants, or whatever, and their reasons of being there. But it all kind of works, especially when it'd be hard to bring in the blacksmith, and then all of a sudden 4 of them it kind of gets tipped, but it didn't, and so I appreciated that a lot. And their relationship, I kind of wanted Mark Addy's character and the blacksmith to kind of get together, but
I would disagree with you that they're 3-dimensional. I think they're brought to life by the performances really, really well. But I think the movie focuses way too much on the boring love story for any of the other supporting characters to kind of have their arcs. Like their fate is just so tied to Heath Ledger's like success and his actions. Because I agree, I think it would have been nice if each of them had a moment like, to shine or something that they clearly, it's on the surface like the blacksmith, she wants to be taken seriously. Geoffrey Chaucer wants to not be poor, but I agree that like it would have been nice if they each found, I think there was little hints of maybe Mark Addy and Berenice Bejo, like her lady in waiting, like they were like flirting a little bit. Alan Tudyk to like have something other than just being angry. I think there might have been room for that if it had been shuffled around a little bit. But I see what you're saying for sure. I think that not all the pieces were there. What did you say, Rich?
Just him yelling pain was my favorite part. It's so much pain!
What did you guys think about, I guess as actors, what would you guys feel of being in Prague over the summer in 100-degree weather in a suit of armor?
Be the greatest summer of my life.
Because a lot of, obviously the stunt guys did the jousting or whatever, but the actors like the B-list Jude Law, discount Jude Law, he was like, sorry, I laugh because the costume designer says, watching those actors pull the visor up and that face of anguish that you see on screen was real because they were so hot and so uncomfortable. And she's like, I loved every minute of it.
Wow.
And it's like,
sadist.
Right. But it was just interesting. Like, what do you go through as an actor? Like, it's cool to have the real armor and stuff like that. But like, goddamn,
I feel like they were all probably being paid well enough to not mind, but it would definitely be hard work for sure.
I mean, let me put it this way, though, and I'm sure all of these people felt this way at this point in their careers. Like, I'd go do it for free, and there's nothing that I would be happier doing. You know what I mean? Like what? You get to ride horses and beat each other up and act for the summer? Yeah, awesome. Let's do it.
Right.
What are we talking? What are we talking about?
I think this is more about. I think this is more about you than it does like the quality of that situation.
Well, no, but it's that same thing where, like, 9 out of 10 actors, would do it for free.
I think 9 out of 10
Until
actors
they
would
learn
do
that they
it for
can get paid.
scale.
Of course, you know what I'm saying.
Well, no, what you're saying is we would do it for free. I wouldn't do that shit for free. I wouldn't go to a fucking hot as balls country I don't speak the language of for an entire fucking summer, and then you got to pay me for that shit, dude.
Well, like that's the thing is like I still got to pay rent. That's my issue of like traveling for that long. But in terms of like actually putting the armor on, and obviously I wouldn't joust, but I would like to think that if I get a big kind of actiony movie, that I would do most of my stunts. There's a movie coming out, or there's a movie that's out on Netflix called Extraction with
I watched it 2 nights ago
with Daddy Thor.
Daddy Thor, and they did a lot of long shots. I was kind of looking at. There's like an ad for like how they were filming it, and they had to do a lot of their own stunts because of how they filmed the movie.
Yeah, Well, did you see that clip where the cameraman jumps with him? Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah. He's like on top of like a car or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's on top of 2 buildings, and he throws the kid. The camera zooms in, and then the camera comes back, pushes back out with him, and then jumps with him. And so I had watched that clip of them filming it before, and then watched the movie, and it works so well. It looks fucking beautiful, and like it's a game changer. There's scenes of him sprinting down the stairs with a cameraman in front of him, clearly like running backwards or on something. But it's so well done, like the shots and stuff. As for a movie, it's fun, but it's not a full movie.
What? Okay. I mean, I would love to think that I would be, on that, the horse with the armor jousting. But I guess the jousting that they did was kind of intense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm sure a bunch of people got injured.
Oh yeah.
You have to assume, right? Like that's.
Well, and then they had to put all the guys that flew off the horses, that the armor was actually plastic, so it didn't hurt. Because there's not, iron and steel is inevitable.
Yeah.
So the stunt guys, I would love to be a stunt guy, but also I like to have some FaceTime on camera.
Got to see that pretty face.
But
I do wish that they had managed to make the jousting scenes. I mean, I understand that there's only so much you can do because it is literally the same action every time. But I feel like they could have done a little more work making it visually interesting.
Maybe.
They look, if you look again, special features, but the second AD or whatever who would do the jousting scenes, he like digs like holes in the ground to put the camera in and like to do the upper shot, like the up angles or whatever. And they had a guy flying on a crane to follow behind the horse. Like the way they created it to get the shots, I thought was extremely interesting. And as a potential future filmmaker of whatever, it's like watching the behind the scenes is actually very interesting to me.
Yeah.
And how they got about doing it.
There's no easy way to shoot that.
No, of course not.
Right. Well, and then like the horses too, you have to train them for like 10 weeks because horses don't like to charge in when something's coming at them, so like there's a lot of B-reel of like the horses like freaking out and all the extras running because the horse like runs away, It's like, whoa, Nelly,
It's like, everybody chill.
Yeah, that might be unfair on my part. I feel like it just was very visually repetitive. I know they did a lot of work to get, the first couple times it was really cool. But then, especially at the end, I wanted there to be some more variety in what I was looking at. But
sure, like
I understand. Yeah, that's I know it's very, very difficult to do that.
Well, no, you're right though. You just kind of run out of stuff that you can do at a certain point.
Yeah.
You're just you're jousting,
Which is why
Spinorama move.
Well, no, but I think that it was a missed opportunity because there were like 5 or 6 different events. I think it could have been more exciting if he had competed against Adamar in like all the different events. Like you have the joust, but then you have the sword and the bow and arrow. Like you could have done a little more, instead of just the jousting, I think is what I'm saying. But I know that's not the movie. I know there's practical limitations on that, so it might just be me.
Yeah, I mean, you also got to imagine that for the sword fighting scenes, it's a lot more. There are a lot more days training.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm never gonna like you know, I'm never gonna be like, oh, it would have been more work, like you know, like
No.
I
I'm
feel
just trying to think practically why maybe they didn't do that. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's definitely a factor, but I don't know. It could have been cool. Like, how cool would it have been if they were like doing a sword fight, or like they were like having a bow and arrow off, or I don't know what the other fucking events. Or if they just wrestled at one point, they just like got so frustrated they took their armor off and started beating the shit out of each other. That would have been cool.
Well, I think also you could have like built it up with him trying all these different things, and then finding that jousting or the sword fighting were the two that would get him farther. You know,
But that's not the movie, Josh, because he's better at sword fighting, but he has to learn to be better at jousting because he's got to change his stars.
If you ever say change the stars like that again, I'm gonna freak out.
I'm surprised that The Greatest Showman, Rewrite the Stars with Zac Efron, didn't come up, but that's okay. That should have been the theme song.
I'm pretty sure Zac Efron was like 12 or 13 when this movie came out.
True.
So,
will anybody else have final thoughts? Brandon, what do you think?
Yeah.
Do you
Well, first, my last final thought is how good is Alan Tudyk's British accent?
It's
because he's American, and
he does a lot of. He's very talented. He went to Juilliard. He's very, very talented.
No, he's amazing and hilarious.
Very funny. I mean, I personally, he'll always be Wash from Firefly to me.
Yeah, fair.
But everything he does, he's great in. I've never seen him and thought that he didn't crush. He's very awesome.
No, he's fantastic. I just grew up thinking that he was British because of this movie.
Wow. Yeah, no, he's a homegrown American boy.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yep. But no, that's kind of my last real thought on it. I don't know. I love this movie. I'm gonna give it a 4.5 out of 5.
Okay. So not quite as good as Miracle.
Not a 5? What? Okay.
Different.
No, it's not as good as Miracle. I like Miracle.
Miracle's so good.
I will go next, and I will give it a 3.5 out of 5.
All right.
I will give it a 3 out of 5, only because I gave Legend a 2.5 out of 5. And this is better. This is definitely better than Legend is.
All right, I'll take that.
Didn't we just talk about how that doesn't matter?
Well, I think like in terms of, because it's the same filmmaker. So in terms of like filmmaker's filmography, I think that I don't know what the fuck happened between this and Legend that made him fall off like that. He definitely missed. I think that there's a lot of stuff to like about A Knight's Tale. It's just not my type of thing. So I'll give it a 3.
Cool. Well, that's A Knight's Tale. Glad it's off the list. Just kidding, Brandon. We can do it again in 6 months if you want.
Next week.
See if anything's changed.
Yeah, we'll do a redux for like 100 episode special of all the movies we all hated.
Right. Oh god, that'd be great. Caleb, what's next? I think you're up.
Knight's Tale 2.
Yeah, Electric Boogaloo. No, I don't want to fuck around. I just want to watch a classic that I haven't seen yet. I want to watch Raging Bull, if that's cool with you guys.
Yeah! All right.
You got to stop with those. Those are really hard on the editing ears.
Sorry. I just went from 6 to midnight, though.
Yeah, I have not seen this film, and we haven't talked about Martin Scorsese yet. I know that it's on the Criterion Channel and American Netflix, so hopefully we can all see it.
Yeah.
Raging Bull. All right.
Raging Bull. Mr. De Niro.
Perfect. All right, Brandon, you want to sign us off?
All right. Thank you guys for listening to 3 MFAs talking about A Knight's Tale.
Yep. And remember, all you got to do is follow your feet.
Okay, I'm going now. Goodbye.